fellas. As you can tell by the title of the video, we are doing teams with the brightest futures in the NBA. We're going to separate this into two parts because we've got like 15 teams on here, and if we were to talk about all those, it would go like 2 hours. So we're going to do this in two parts. Another fun part of this is we're going to be able to talk about our favorite teams. Mine's the Pistons, AJ's is the Thunder, and obviously these are two teams that are in a rebuild, so that's another fun part about this.
Yeah, that's probably the inspiration for this video. I mean, we were just watching the Pistons and Thunder, and wow, they suck. But
that was a rough game.
The good thing is they suck because they're really young and they have a lot of future assets as well. So
we're gonna try to be as non-biased as possible, but we'll end up being biased at some point, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll happen.
But we're not gonna start off with those teams. So since this is the first part of the video, we're going to separate it by conference. And in this one, we're going to do the East. So let's start off with, we're going to do three teams that are currently really good, like contenders in the Eastern Conference. But they've also got young guys to go along with their, aging veterans. So let's start off with the Boston Celtics. I highlight them because of the Tatum and Brown combo.
That's really what it is here. I mean, we have some other names, but those are the reasons, right?
Yeah, I mean, we can mention the other names really quick. Robert Williams has shown flashes this year, along with the rookie Peyton Pritchard. Aaron Naismith is a guy that I think can be really good. He's just kind of figuring it out right now. And then Marcus Smart, I think he's the oldest one that we have on this list, but he's still, I don't think he's hit his prime yet, so.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I said, it's mostly Brown and Tatum, but these other guys are good assets too. I mean, the big thing here is like the development of Jaylen Brown. Like last year, Tatum was clearly the best player, and I think now it's closer than people thought it would ever be. I'd still give the edge to Tatum, but yeah, I mean, they got to figure it out though, because I feel like they should be farther ahead than they are right now anyway. Like they're just not succeeding at the rate we thought they would. Do you have an idea why?
I think they lack playmaking. See, Brown and Tatum play so similarly in the fact that they can get you a bucket at any time. But I don't know if they're
play off each other.
I don't think that, yeah, exactly. And I don't think they're team-oriented players as well.
Yeah.
Not saying that they're selfish. I just think those two together is too much like ball dominant basketball. You know what I'm saying? Like in teams that win the championship usually move that rock a little bit. I don't think the Celtics have enough playmaking, and I don't think their team chemistry is where it needs to be either.
Yeah, no.
I think talent-wise they're obviously one of the best in the league.
Yeah.
But they need to move that rock, or else they're never going to reach their full potential.
Yeah, I mean, they're in a weird spot because where are they in the East right now, do you know?
They are 4th or 5th. They kind of just bounce between there, which is honestly, for how terrible they're playing, it's really not that bad.
Yeah. I look at these other teams in the East and, like, I don't know. I mean, they're going to have to get another, like real guy, like another third option. And I don't know if Kemba's that guy anymore. I don't know. He's come off a lot of injuries.
It's going to be hard to take that next step because of their cap situation.
Yeah.
When you look at Kemba Walker, who's aging and can't stay healthy, and he's getting paid like $35 million a year, and then you've got Jaylen Brown, who just got paid, and then obviously Jason Tatum's extensions starting next season, so they're going to be capped out for quite a while.
I mean, the Celtics scare me, man. I'll be honest. As a Thunder fan, like Sam Presti is kind of like what people looked at Danny Ainge for so long, and they thought he was like fleecing people and all that. And to be fair, he's got a lot more picks than Danny Ainge ended up with. But in all, like these two guys are really all that's happened. Like a lot of his trades didn't end up the way we thought they would, and I don't know. They're on this list for a reason. They have potential and promise. I just, compared to a lot of these other teams, I trust them less. That's all I'm saying.
They just haven't been able to keep their stars in town.
Yeah, I mean,
when you look at
the Kyrie thing wasn't really their fault. I mean,
Kyrie's Kyrie. I mean, he's just gonna be who he is. But like Hayward, Horford, I guess was aging, so it didn't really matter. When you look at that 2018 team, they just really underachieved.
Yeah, they did.
And when you look at the talent on that
I
team,
saw
it's ridiculous.
I saw a picture the other day, and I was like, I can't believe these guys are all on the same team.
It's like almost an all-star team.
Kyrie, Hayward, Jaylen Brown, Tatum. But to be
Rozier.
fair, Kyrie leaving and Hayward leaving they're part of the reasons that Tatum and Brown blossomed to what they are now. I don't know. They'll be good for years. I don't think they have a lot to worry about. I just think they're at a standstill between being really good and being a contender.
Yeah, they're not in it. It's the top 3 teams in the East and everybody else, really.
Yeah.
And let's talk about one of those top 3 teams. The 76ers I have on here. But just because Embiid and Simmons are still...
So young.
Honestly, I mean, Embiid's kind of starting his prime, but
27.
Simmons definitely isn't in his prime.
27 and 24. And Simmons is weird. You're right. He's not in his prime, but it feels like every year there's something like different with him. You know,
Besides the jumper,
yeah,
it's always the same.
Yeah, that's true. It's never there. And then I mean Tobias, we have him on here. I put him here for I don't know how long he'll be there, but either way he'll be a draft capital. Like they can get something, maybe not trade capital. I mean, like they'll get something out of Tobias if they don't keep him for long term.
I think they're stuck with him.
Yeah, he's on quite a contract.
Yeah, he is.
Tyrese Maxey's having a decent rookie year.
He's out of the rotation now, but
yeah,
it's tough to get minutes on a really good team like that.
And then Thibault, I mean, we haven't seen much offensively, but he's been a pretty good defender right away. And then the new coaching and management is huge. Like, Doc Rivers has done a hell of a job, and I don't know how long he plans on staying there, but, what's his name? Daryl Morey has been great as well.
Yeah, he kind of brought a certain pedigree that I think they lacked last year with Brett Brown, to be honest. But, yeah, Sixers going to be around for a while in the Eastern Conference contending for sure. And let's talk about the defending Eastern Conference champions, the Miami Heat. We don't have Jimmy Butler on our list because he's in the middle of his prime. We try to keep guys on the list that aren't necessarily in their prime. So we've got Bam Adebayo, Tyler Herro, and is that Duncan Robinson?
It's Duncan Robinson. I just threw him in there because I didn't want 2 guys, but he's
it's really just 2 big guys
that
they can go with moving forward. But obviously they have a lot of win now talent on this team.
Yeah.
But with Bam, he's already an all-star caliber player. And
definitely has I think he has multiple DPOY potential. Like I think he could be
I agree with that.
Like he's weird because he's kind of a lost art. Like nowadays, all of the big guys are shooting jumpers, and only a few manage to like bang down low and still be really good. And him and Gobert are 2 of those guys. And Bam has a little bit of a jumper, nothing crazy, but I think if he develops if he develops that more, then he'll be crazy good.
With Tyler Herro, it's just his tenacity in his game, and then just his ability to score from everywhere on the floor, pretty much. And he's been a little streaky this year, but he's only like 21, 21, so lots of good years left for him. And then with Duncan Robinson, he's just a shooter, really. Yeah. But he's one of the best in the business.
Miami just always figures out a way to stay competent, though. I remember when LeBron left, we thought they were just going to be awful again. And it only took a few years for them to have that team with Whiteside, D-Wade, Deion Waiters, that team that had a good run in the East.
Yeah.
And then here they are again in the finals last year. So, congrats to them. It's not really much more to say than those 3 guys, though. I mean,
in terms of, it's mostly win now talent with them, like I said before. So we got our next tier here, and it's 2 teams that are playoff teams, but it's mostly young talent, but they're still able to make the playoffs this year. Let's talk about the Atlanta Hawks, who I think have probably the most underrated and under the radar young core in the NBA, with Trae Young, John Collins, DeAndre Hunter, Kevin Huerter, Cam Reddish, and Onyeka Okongwu, and Clint Capella is only 26.
Yeah,
surprisingly, it seems like he's way older than that, but he's solid. He's really solid. I have him on my fantasy team, and he just seems to put up like 15 and 15 every night.
He always grabs boards, yeah.
Yeah, thanks.
But yeah, I mean, obviously the big name here is Trae Young, who has been playing really well lately, so shout out to him. But John Collins, I expect him to be. I know earlier in the season there was rumors of him being traded, but I don't know if they're still thinking about that. DeAndre Hunter he's like solidified himself as a starting 3-and-D player who has high potential. Cam Reddish has been really streaky, but I still believe in him a lot.
I believe in him, but I don't think he's on this team, or he fills his potential long term because there's so many other guys that are like higher up in the rotation than him.
And I don't think we've yet to see Onyeka play, but obviously he was a lottery pick for a reason.
Yeah, he's gonna be stuck behind Capella, especially if he's playing like that for a while.
They're super similar players.
But
He'll be kind of like just like a bonus to have off the bench. Honestly, it's a lot of talent to bring.
Mm-hmm.
Trae, what do you think about Trae Young? Because I see a lot of people hating on IG about how he plays.
I go so back and forth with Trae Young. Really, what comes down to Trae Young is like his teammates and his team have to come through at the same time as him, or else it just looks bad on him because of the way he plays. He's a shot chucker, and sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't. He's been playing great basketball lately. I think the Hawks are doing really well, aren't they?
Mm-hmm. I think they're 4th in the East now.
Yeah. He's always been a guy who you can succeed with as long as you have talent around and bigger defenders around, because obviously the main reason that he is so bad on defense isn't necessarily effort, it's just he's so small. But no, I think Trae Young's a top 10 building piece of young players in the league, which says a lot because we have so many young guys right now.
Imagine if like Trae Young was like 6'4".
What
is he right now? Like 6'2"?
He's 6'1". He's 6'1", yeah. He'd be unstoppable.
It makes him like a complete liability on defense.
But he'd be what? Like Steph Curry's 6'3", almost 6'4".
Yeah, he's smaller than him. Even.
I'm not saying he'd be Steph Curry, but Steph Curry, Dame are both the same height.
He's been the closest thing to Steph.
Yeah.
Which nobody's honestly gone that close, but
yeah.
Props to him, man. He's hooping. John Collins has gone pretty underrated as well.
Yeah. So you think they're staying with Collins now? Because I know earlier in the season that he was like rumored for being traded.
I think they do for the right price.
Yeah.
And if they don't, another team is most likely going to give him a bag, and it's most likely going to be a rebuilding team where he fits the timeline for that team. And if they don't want to match, then they would have to work toward a sign-and trade to get some sort of value back, because you don't want to lose a young star for nothing. Even if he's overpaid, you still got to find a way to get something back.
For sure.
DeAndre Hunter, hasn't been able to stay healthy in his career. When he's played, at least this year, he's been hooping. Like, he's one of those typical 3-and-D guys. But I think eventually he turns into more of that, but that's just kind of his role right now. So
this is random. Where did DeAndre Hunter, where did he go to school? Was it
Virginia,
right. I always get him and Jared Culver mixed up. Culver went to Tennessee, Texas Tech.
Yeah.
And
he was on their talking about Hunter.
Yeah.
He was on their championship winning team at Virginia.
Yeah.
It seems like every other year they just get bounced in the first round.
Because I remember that was like a big like conversation in when the tournament was going on, was who was better, DeAndre Hunter or Jared Culver. Jared Culver is a bust right now, man. That dude sucks. But anyway,
he's in Minnesota though.
That's true.
Give him some props. He's in Minnesota.
Yeah. So we can move on here to a team that I think most people would agree is I think they're the most fun team to watch in the league. I don't care how many games they win.
There's a lot of factors that go into why they're the most fun team to watch.
Yeah. And the Charlotte Hornets, obvious reason is LaMelo Ball, and then Terry Rozier.
Oh, Terry.
Miles Bridges and PJ Washington. I mean, those are all their building blocks right
Terry
there.
to beauty.
And then the most important part of their rebuild is their announcers. They're just so fun to watch. But since we're on this topic, since we were just talking about Trae Young, you're building a team right now. You're taking LaMelo Ball or Trae Young. Take health out of this.
Ooh. That's tough.
Because I had this the other day, and I'll tell you who I have after you go.
I'm taking LaMelo
Me too.
for ticket sales.
Yeah.
And because he's 6'8".
Yep, that's it.
And he makes his teammates better.
He's 6'8". Trae Young makes his teammates better too, but like
not like LaMelo.
LaMelo just has that it factor, but the 6'8" is the biggest thing to me.
Like the Hornets were boring and sucked last year, and all they did was insert LaMelo and Gordon Hayward, but he's not like an exciting player, I would say. They just inserted LaMelo Ball, and it just they just kind of figured it out right away.
And LaMelo is better on defense. People realize he's not yet he doesn't have the technicalities down to lock somebody up, but his effort is there. And I think we saw the similar thing with his brother, who's now like a really good defender when he tries. And I think LaMelo has potential to be like a defensive stopper. Like just watch it a few years.
Do you remember in the draft last year, like one of the biggest questions with LaMelo was his ability to compete on the defensive end?
Yeah.
And I think he's honestly solved those questions this year. Like he
solved
competes
everything, yeah.
Like you said, he doesn't have the technicalities ready done.
Yeah.
Like a lot of rookies do, but like this is a good stepping stone for him for sure.
Yeah. I mean, besides LaMelo, like Terry Rozier is a guy who we all called overpaid, and I think even when LaMelo was on the court, Rozier was their best overall player.
Dude, they were clowned for trading Kemba for Rozier.
Right now, Rozier's better. Like
yeah, he is.
It's crazy to say, but he is. And then Miles Bridges, as a Michigan State fan, I should be able to know how good he actually is more than I do. But I can tell you one thing is that he's like every game he's going to give you a crazy dunk, and that really helps for their like.
The best. I think he's the best in-game dunker for sure.
Not just now, but like in a while. Like I'm trying to think of guys who got posters every night like him. Like
Prime Blake.
Yeah, Prime Blake was nasty. You're right, but and then PJ Washington is kind of the question mark. Like I don't really know what to say about him.
I think he'll be like an average starter. I would say but a slightly above average player, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does.
I don't think he has all-star potential or anything, but I think he'll be like a solid piece on a good team. Which he is now, so I think that's the role he kind of plays throughout his career. Not a bust by any means, but not.
One quick thing before we move to our next team. Back to LaMelo. Do you still give him Rookie of the Year at the end of this season or no?
Yeah, I don't care.
Yeah?
Yeah, I don't care. Like, no other guy really does it for me this year. Even if Edwards puts up 20 points, it takes him 30 shots to get there. Like, people always look at the box office, or the box office. Gosh, I'm an idiot.
Box stats.
Box stats, or the box score, or whatever you want to call it. He's like, oh my God, Edwards dropped 30. He's only like 19. It's like, okay, it's not winning basketball if he drops 30 on 30 shots.
Yeah.
Like, I
guess if I agree with you, I'd give it to LaMelo, but if I had to give it to somebody else, it wouldn't be. I think I'd go to Halliburton. I mean,
I'm not even going to sit here and act like Halliburton impacts winning because nobody seems to impact winning when they join the Kings.
Yeah.
But his play style should impact winning. Just probably won't be on that team.
Yeah, I don't know. It takes some years. I think the only guy to show that he impacts winning right away was LaMelo, and he played a significant amount of games. So, like, you know,
that was enough of a sample size for me. Like, it wasn't like when he played, the Rookie of the Year race wasn't close, and that's enough for me. I don't really care about the rest of the year.
Yeah, I agree. Do you think they're going to give it to him? That was my question.
No, and it's going to be stupid.
Yeah,
Edwards is going to get it, and he doesn't really do it for me, to be honest.
Yeah. I think he just.
I like his talent. I just don't know. I don't think he has it in his head.
You don't think so?
I don't think he has.
He's Wiggins
mentality.
again.
Yep. You can quote me on that.
Yeah.
I think he's kind of like a Wiggins.
Yeah. Well, that's what they
Maybe slightly better, but I don't think he'll ever be one of the best players on a winning team.
So, do you want to go with our last East team here?
We've got 2 East teams, but they're the ones toward the bottom. We're going to save the best for last, of course. So we're going to go with the Cavaliers right now. And that might come as a surprise
I'm an idiot.
for a lot of people because everybody thinks the Cavs are a joke.
Yeah.
Which they kind of are when LeBron isn't there, but they've low-key got some like nice young pieces on this team. So the first one obviously is Colin Sexton. He's the one that puts up stats on this team. Now, how much it impacts winning, I don't really know. But there's just not a lot of talent on this team, to be honest. But Sexton is a guy that will compete on the defensive end. I don't think he impacts the game on that end, but he does compete at least. And then offensively, he's got a very underrated package, I think.
Yeah. I mean, he's a Lou Williams, Jamal Crawford type of scorer. Like, his job is to get you buckets tonight.
So do you think in his prime he's like a 6-man on a really good team?
I think he's a 6-man unless he becomes a really good facilitator, which I don't see happening. But unless that happens, yes, because I don't think he's big enough to play the 2. He's like 6'2".
He is right now. That's why him and
but
Garland together is really weird.
He's playing the 2 right now, and he's playing on a Cavaliers team that doesn't care if they win or not. I'm saying, like you said, in his prime on a good team, the only way he's going to start is at point guard, and the only way he's going to do that is being a facilitator. And I don't think there's anything wrong with being Lou Williams, Jamal Crawford.
Yeah, he'll make a lot of money in his career.
I mean, I think another guy that's similar to him who hasn't shown as much as him yet, but I think I was watching the Bulls the other night. I think Kobe White is in like the same type of mold. They're not big enough to play the 2, and they play like 2s. So to me, they're 6 men unless they become better
kind
facilitators.
of tweeners.
Tweeners, yeah, it's the same thing. Yeah, I guess that's the best way to explain it.
I want to mention one other thing. So we talked about this in our last video, Mock Draft 3.0. If they get the number 1 pick, and Cade Cunningham is seeming like he's obviously the guy, which one of Garland and Sexton are you moving? Because I don't know if you could play those 3 guys together.
Garland, he's the least proven. And I think that's one scenario where Sexton might be able to play 2, is if he has a 6'8" point guard.
I think he plays the 2 on offense, but he guards the point guard.
Yeah. But I think he could definitely, a guy like Cade Cunningham could make up for his size, with his size.
Okay, actually, what do you think of this lineup? So you go Garland, Sexton, and you put Cunningham at the 3. Or no, you put Cunningham at the 4, but you put Okoro at the 3 because he's a little undersized compared to Cunningham, and then you have Jarrett Allen. A little bit of small ball. Do you think that would win some games?
That's like the best lineup on paper, but I just don't know if Cade Cunningham would come in and play the 4. Now, I know that maybe you could make the argument that
I think it's too much ball dominant guards.
Yeah. They're in a weird scenario. I think my dream scenario for them, I don't necessarily want this to happen because I'd rather see this guy go to OKC or Detroit. But if I was a Cavs fan, I'd want Sexton to improve as a facilitator and draft Jalen Green. Or Sexton, like I said, off the bench, Garland improve all around and draft Jalen Green. Have that backcourt. But as of right now, Sexton is he's too much ahead of Garland to come off the bench for Garland, if that makes sense. Garland just isn't proven yet, and if they had another point guard that was like solidified, then yeah. I think Sexton makes this so much harder because he's such a tweener for me.
I think he's a better fit with Cunningham.
Yeah,
because Cunningham
so?
can match up with sizes where Sexton can't, so they kind of works well together, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. You just can't put a smaller guard next to Sexton and expect you to be able to guard literally anyone.
True.
So Yeah, we're gonna move on to our last team. We're saving the best for last. We're gonna talk about my Detroit Pistons, and I'm gonna tell you what grinds my gears. Okay, when people call us a poverty franchise, we used to be, but we're not anymore. Because you know what? We got Troy Weaver in town.
Troy Weaver,
our general manager.
3-man weave.
Yeah, exactly. First things first, he nailed the 2020 draft.
He did.
It was a draft where people were just calling it terrible. Like it was one of the worst since like 2000 in terms of like top end talent.
Give me credit. I argued with those people.
Yeah.
You could go back, listen to the tape, folks. We said it was not as.
We argued that it was a deep class.
It is
there was a lot of guys that, like in the later first round, early second round, that are going to be pretty good players.
Yeah.
And Weaver grabbed 2 of them. Let's talk about Sadiq Bey.
At least 2 of them.
We just watched him play the Thunder, and he's got a bag on offense.
He does. I'll say it right now. He doesn't have the athleticism yet, but he reminds.
I don't know if you can just get athleticism.
It's true.
He can play at his own pace, though.
As a Pistons fan, is he athletic?
He's average athlete.
Because the way he moves and like the way he plays, he reminds me of Tatum and Paul George, like young Paul George.
Okay.
I don't want to give him those expectations because
that'd be awesome.
Yeah, it would be awesome if he's either of those guys. My point is just play style, and he doesn't play like he's 22 years old. I guess that's my point.
He plays like a seasoned vet.
Yeah.
His best attribute is his shooting. I think he's around 40% this year, which for a rookie, that's pretty rare.
Yeah.
And I saw this stat. It said he was on pace to have the third most 3-pointers made by a rookie in NBA history.
Yeah.
And nobody talks about him. Nobody even mentions him in like the Rookie of the Year race now.
I know.
And I think he's top 5.
It's probably his box stats.
Yeah.
That's like we said earlier. I don't know.
And the fact that he's in Detroit.
Yeah, it never helps.
Yeah. So yeah, Sadiq Bey is gonna be really good. Next guy I have here is Isaiah Stewart. Just 19 years old. He was like the number 3 ranked prospect coming out of high school.
He went off tonight.
Yeah, we just watched it, and he had 16 points, 22-ish rebounds.
He beat Drummond's rebound record for a rookie in Detroit. Let me check.
And 2 blocks.
Yeah, so you go on about. I'll check his rebounds.
So yeah, with Stewart, like I said, he was a number 3 ranked prospect coming out of high school, but his stock fell in college for whatever reason. I think his situation in Washington, the coach wasn't letting him show his complete arsenal. And what we found in Detroit is he can actually shoot the 3.
Yeah, he can stretch it,
which is
crazy.
A bonus. And if teams besides Troy Weaver knew that, he might have gone a little bit higher. Like, I think
he's just
teams were seeing his ceiling as like a high energy role playing center. Yeah. But Troy Weaver saw that jumper, and obviously if he could stretch the floor, protect the rim, and grab rebounds, then there's going to be a role for you in the NBA.
15 points, 21 rebounds, and 2 blocks, by the way.
Yeah.
Just
monster.
It's a good thing he's not 21, because I did not want to get into like a bar fight with him either. He's just
he's 19. If you guys have seen what this guy is,
he's got a man body. He's crazy. Like the other night we were watching, and I said that like he's like a more, you said more athletic Kenneth Faried, and I said Montrezl.
No, I said more built Kenneth Faried.
Okay.
Kenneth Faried was super athletic.
Oh yeah, and I said Montrezl Harrell, but after watching tonight, I mean, he's enormous. His chest is like it's crazy to watch.
You don't want to get a screen set on you by him.
No,
I'll tell you
don't.
That much.
And he's what? He's like 6'9", 6'10".
Yeah, he's
undersized height-wise, but that's not gonna matter.
Makes it up.
Yeah, for throwing guys around down there.
And our first pick in last year's draft, we took the 19-year-old Frenchman, Killian Hayes, who I believe he played the first 7 games of the year, and let's be honest, he was one of the worst players in the league. Like he was He was awful, but to be fair, he's a 19-year-old from a different country. You threw him in there with a bunch of older vets that aren't good anymore, like Blake Griffin and Jeremy Grant. Just kidding. Jeremy Grant's really good.
And at that time, when Killian was playing, Miles Plumlee was awful. Like
Mason Plumlee.
Mason Plumlee was awful.
He wasn't Plum God.
No, like Plumlee's ended up being like solidified like one of the 3 best players on your team, like in and out.
In terms of 2K rating, I think he's the second best one.
And with that said, at that time, Plumlee, I remember watching a game with you, and he was god awful. Like
we were laughing at the TV.
A lot has changed.
He couldn't make a layup.
A lot has changed. So and Killian, one thing I've noticed is he loves to drive and then feed to someone down low. And if you're driving and feeding to Plumlee at that point, I'm sure it wasn't ending up well for you.
Him and Stewart, that connection's a lot better than it is with him and Plumlee.
Yeah.
Because I think Isaiah Stewart around the basket is a lot better than Plumlee is, even at that young age.
Yeah.
With Killian, right now the scoring just isn't there. And I'm not sure he'll ever be like a 20-point per game scorer. But like we saw tonight, his playmaking looks like it's going to be one of the best in the NBA. Like he'll be one of those guys that leads the league in assists, or at least is up there. And then defensively, he's already a plus defender. So, and he competes as well. Like the whole team competes. Dwayne Gacy's got these guys playing hard, and I think the foundation is set for the future going forward. So,
So yeah, and also you didn't really mention but they get 2 future second-round picks in 2021 and 2024.
Yep.
And then you have a lottery protected that you owe to Houston, but it's like I said, it's lottery protected 1 through 16. So you're gonna get it because you guys are awful.
Yeah, we're awful right now.
Yeah.
So that pick is weird because somewhere down the line we got Isaiah Stewart in there for that pick, but then Houston got Christian Wood in free agency, so I guess that was like a part of a sign-in trade or something. It was really weird. Like it was like the longest trade I've ever seen in my life. But the pick is really weird because it's like lottery protected, or 1 through 16 this year. It's like 1 through 18 the next year, like 1 through 20 the next year. So he like protected it to where we're never gonna give it up like unprotected. At some point, it's gonna be like a late lottery or something like that. And at that point, we're gonna have so many young assets that it's not even gonna matter.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Troy Weaver is a magician. Like, if you look at the upside of last year's team, which the upside was like a 7 or 8 seed.
Yeah.
And then you look at the upside on the roster now. It's honestly ridiculous how much
it's top
more upside it has.
3-4 seed in the East eventually,
I think so. Yeah, if they can put it together. I think they will.
And I was thinking about something kind of sidetracking here, but still to do with the Pistons. When we were watching the game earlier tonight, so when COVID was like first, when everything was shut down, I remember I would always think like, man, because as sports fans, we like feed off sports. I can't remember the last day that I didn't absorb myself in sports at least twice a day, And I remember thinking like, man, I'd kill to watch a Cavs and Hornets game right now, like because all you wanted to do was watch basketball. And it's safe to say that's gone because we watched 2 of the worst lineups in the league tonight, and man, it was hard. It was hard to watch, and it's kind of good though because at least that means that we're used to good basketball again. But yeah, that's
one thing I will say. While we were deprived during COVID, while those teams weren't playing for that few months, when it got back, I don't think I've ever been more invested in NBA basketball.
It was crazy.
Before.
I was absorbed. Still am, but
yeah, still am. Like, I think that that rough few months where we weren't watching kind of increased my love for basketball.
It did.
Which I think long term is really good for me.
I was sitting in a house during like shutdown, like when it was really bad in Michigan, because as you know, Michigan is like, it got really bad for a while. It still sucks here
because we don't know how to.
We can't figure it out. But anyway, when it like first started, I remember I was like in my house watching like 1994 championship games
Oh
in
yeah,
college
the replays
basketball.
on NBA TV.
Yeah, forget all that. I was on YouTube watching Olympic basketball, all sorts of stuff. I was just like, man, I need this back in my life.
YouTubers were just running out of content at that point.
Yeah, it was getting bad. Yeah. So
I can't imagine us trying to go through that. We started right after, so
yeah.
yeah, that was kind of good timing on our part. But yeah, that's going to be it for part 1 of the teams with the brightest futures. If you did enjoy, make sure to drop a like. Let us know in the comments down below an Eastern Conference team maybe we missed. But yeah, that's going to be it for today's video. Appreciate you guys turning in, and we'll see you all next time.
See ya, and if you're going to call our podcast boring, please spell it right. Have a good one.
Yeah, Luis.